Hi, thanks for joining us again. Our next guest is Seth Stern. He's the Director of Advocacy for the Freedom of Press Foundation. He's been there for 2 years. Prior to that, he was 12 years working as a First Amendment attorney in the Chicago area. Seth, I thank you for taking the time with us today. Here's my question for you. As you move forward, tell us about what the Freedom of the Press Foundation is running into now in the Trump era versus Biden, and historically where this takes us, and what are the measures to remediate the problem that we have. The floor is yours, Seth.
Well, press freedom was certainly under threat in the Biden era and long before that. We saw,
My whole life, brother. I got into this in the 80s, and it started with me with Ronald Reagan and every president since then. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, agreed. There has never been an administration that is friendly to the press, and that's by design. The press is supposed to be adversarial. People in power are not supposed to like the press. It was
And
always
I'm fine with that. How about you?
exactly. I'm fine with that. It was always assumed and built in that there would be
Are you
some.
kidding? It was the draw for me. It's why I wanted to be a reporter. Go ahead.
Right. And there's supposed to be some effort by the administration to evade scrutiny and an effort by journalists to circumvent the efforts by the administration to thwart them. That's built into the process. That's normal. What is not normal is the number of attacks we're seeing all at once, the magnitude of the attacks that we're seeing in such a short time since Trump came to power.
Such as.
And, well,
Just give me a
the
litany of them. I mean, I
sure.
could probably list a bunch of them, but I'm leaving that to you. But
Well, sure. We can start with the ban of the Associated Press for using Gulf of Mexico versus Trump's preferred term, Gulf of America. Plenty of past presidents would have loved to control the language that journalists use. I don't even want to assume that it was their principles that kept them from doing it. It was that they didn't have the
common
nerve.
sense,
They didn't,
right?
yeah, well, they didn't
What
have the
else? What else
nerve.
we got on the litany?
We've got the weaponization of the FCC under Brendan Carr, an FCC chair who wears a golden bust of Donald Trump as a lapel pin, who has pursued all sorts of frivolous theories against outlets ranging from CBS to ABC to NPR to Odyssey owned radio stations that had the nerve to report on an ICE raid.
What
Um,
else we got?
well, we've got the constant insults to reporters and efforts to undermine the public's trust. Is that you or me? I'm sorry.
Ain't me.
Sorry about that.
Good. Well, we can edit. We're good.
Yeah. Constant efforts to undermine the public's trust in the news and in the media,
Okay, and
which
all this trying to control the press pool, and trying to control where the seats are, and trying to control access to all of the wire services by kicking them out. What else you got? See, we could go on. Let's just.
yeah. Well, suggesting that reporting critically about him should be illegal. That news outlets that report on him should have their licenses pulled, like he did with CBS just this past week, filing serial slap suits against news outlets.
Now,
And
explain to people what SLAP is. I just give
yeah,
the acronym.
SLAP is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. SLAP plaintiffs don't intend to win. That's not the point. The point is to intimidate, to bleed opponents
You
dry.
have more
To
money than they do, and you can for it's particularly effective for large corporations against small publications. There are anti-SLAPP legislation in state houses across the country. This is one of the most serious and most egregious offenses, and Donald Trump has weaponized this even more. I heighten
right.
everyone to understand exactly what you're dealing with. Go ahead. So,
Yeah, and the other thing that is unique about Trump when it comes to slap suits is that he can then use those lawsuits as bargaining chips against corporations and media conglomerates that have other interests, other business before the government. He is essentially laundering bribery through the court system. File a frivolous lawsuit, demand a settlement from a company that has business in front of the government. If this was done in a dark alley, it would be an illegal bribe. But since a judge signs the settlement agreement, it's okay, or at
All
least it
right,
is
and
so
then
far.
also let's talk. There's still more, but wait, there's more. Give me one more at least before we go to solutions, because we're going past our time, but there's so much to
Yeah.
talk about.
Well, how about having a student arrested or better said abducted off of the streets for writing an op-ed
Yeah,
at
there you
Tufts?
go. How
There's a
about how about what he's done to Harvard? What about that is also a free speech issue.
Right, and it's all part of the attack on the rule of law. You know, today and yesterday, you see the Trump administration gaslighting the public about what the Supreme Court said in a 9-0 ruling about the need to return people who were illegally shipped off to concentration camps in El Salvador.
Well,
You
you're talking
can't.
about Stephen Miller, who's never even told the truth about it, whether he has hair or not. All right, so let's
Right.
let's end it this way, because we've gone past our time. But what are the resolutions? How does someone get in touch with your organization, and how do we make this better?
Yeah, well, we are at freedom.press. That's our website. You can find us on pretty much any social media outlet you like. If you want to get in touch with me directly, it's Seth at freedom.press. We work on a number of things attempting to make it better. I do the advocacy work that is both public facing advocacy to bring attention to these issues, to build political support behind these issues, to make it so that there is a consequence when the administration violates press freedom. We also operate the U.S. Press Freedom Tracker, a database which monitors and documents press freedom violations, so we can show that this is not business as usual, that this is a trend that is getting far worse under Trump. We do digital security training for journalists. The law is broken, encryption less so. Where the law fails you, technology often doesn't. So that is every bit as important for journalists to
I
understand.
like I like hands-on, person to person. You heard me earlier,
Well,
but you all
right,
do great.
yes.
You all do great work. I'm gonna wrap this up by saying thanks. I know you all do a lot more. I want people to check in to the foundation, and if you have questions, ask. We have a question and answer session at the end of this town hall tonight.
Great.
Thank you.